Welcome. I'll be ranking every melee in Criminality from worst to best. The weapons in this game range from terrible to godly, so I'll show you which ones you should pick next time you visit a dealer. And before I start, you should know that I have a Discord server you can join. It is linked in the description. Also, please remember that this video is just my opinion. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Starting in the F tier, I'll have to say the nunchucks are the worst weapon in the game. Also being a Game Pass that was only sold for a limited time to capitalize on your fear of missing out. Every time these have been on sale, the price has been increased too, which is nothing other than stupid because of how useless these things are. The nunchucks do basically no damage with a bugged out hitbox that has never been fixed, with its only redeeming quality being a third swing that can ragdoll people. It also weighs 0 slots, so you don't exactly lose anything by carrying them. The third swing actually sucks, because of it having to land on the head. Your fists and knuckle dusters don't need to do that. They also recently let you block with them, but you can only block fists. That being said, this belongs in the F tier and has no reason to be used. Another F tier is the baton. This is a weapon exclusive to the Armory Game Pass. But when 2.0 released, they let you level up to unlock it. This is genuinely the worst melee you can buy in this game. The weapon's broken hitbox will never do you any favors, and it does damage comparable to the fists, with no bleed or anything. The baton can block, but only for small weapons like shivs and wrenches. F tier, fuck this weapon. Now we have the bayonet and shiv. I'm going to rank them together because they're effectively the same weapon. These weapons both suck because of their low damage, speed, and range because of their size. They cannot ragdoll people because of being bladed weapons, but also can't sever limbs like others can. Their only purpose is to be yet another disappointment when you open a green crate. The shiv used to actually be insanely good back in late 1.3, due to it having a huge speed buff, but this was all gone when all melee weapons got nerfed to the ground in 1.4. Now we move on to the C tier. All of these weapons are pretty bad, and you should only use them from green crates, or in an emergency. The balisong was one of the weapons added in 1.3. It's essentially a bayonet that attacks really fast and has a better hitbox. It also only weighs 1 slot. The reason it used to be good was because of its super fast finishing animation. Back then it took ages to get stomps, because of how slow it was. The balisong made it far less risky to get stomps during combat, which were even more important as they are now, because you didn't get free health from killing people. You can't block, and the damage output is just too low to justify that, so C tier it goes. Next is the taiga. It's basically a worse version of the machete. It can block small and bladed weapons, which is the best thing about it. It takes 4 slow hits to down someone, and 3 hits to the head to decapitate. The reason why this weapon sucks is because of the terrible slowness, lack of third swing, and lack of damage. The machete is literally just this weapon, but faster and more damaging, so buy that instead. The wrench is actually a pretty good weapon if you can aim well, constantly ragdolling people, though it can't block and has terrible range, so you'll just end up being gunned down, or beaten up by a melee that can block. The damage and speed are better than most of the other weapons I've ranked so far. It fares pretty well against lowly geared players, making it not a terrible choice at least. The last in the C tier we have the crowbar and the golf club. These are essentially the same weapon, with the crowbar having the utility of breaking open doors and safes, though it doesn't matter much since you should always be carrying at least 1 lockpick. They're basically the wooden bat with no third swing, so you won't be able to break any necks before downing your victims. Very boring weapons with no reason to use. The first weapon we have in the B tier is the katana. Oh my, this thing fell off hard. The Brawl update ruined its hitbox, and made cutting off heads with the third swing extremely difficult. It also can't block non-bladed large melee weapons. Even with a rage dose, it can be hard to get kills with this. Use it if you want to kill a kid who has a tier 1 helmet, as the third swing will kill it instantly. Another thing that makes this weapon bad is how you have to hit the third swing to down in 3 hits, or you will have to wait for bleed to finish your victim off. Just buy the metal bat or something. Next we have the Rambo. I think this weapon sucks, but is still better than the katana, since it is so easy to get from crates and scraps on spawn. I also prefer how it actually downs on 3 swings. The best things about this weapon are its insane bleed damage, being basically the strongest in the game. which is good for chasing people since their stamina will drain much faster. The other best thing is how it can go through the wooden bats block, effectively hard countering it. The machete is the strongest bladed weapon in the game in my opinion, most notably being able to decapitate in 2 fast headshots. Its hitbox is also fairly easy to land often, making it work surprisingly well. It can block every weapon other than the bats and unblockable weapons. Despite this, there is no reason to buy this weapon. Just buy a Glock or something. This used to be an absolute beast in late 1.3. It was about twice as fast as it is now, with the same damage and bleed. RIP. The last weapon we have for the B tier is the shovel. This is the glass cannon of the melees in this game. It has a super slow charge-up time, but does well over half your health every shot. If it hits your head, it's game over, man. Game over. It works super well with Rage Dose, as you can evade enemy attacks while recharging. Remember, the only things that can block you are the metal bat and sledgehammer. Now we move on to the A tier. These are the weapons I consider to be worth buying, though just can't do as much as the weapons in S. The chainsaw is a shell of its former self. It used to be my favorite melee weapon in the game. You deal a huge burst of damage each attack, but it takes a whopping 35 stamina. So play tactically, or use a Rage Dose to play around it. The reason why it sucks is because of its lack of damage now, especially noticeable when your enemies get downed. You have to hit a full burst if you want to fully kill even an unarmored guy in 1 click. This is not how it used to be. In fact, it used to deal far more damage, and you could full kill someone quite easily in 1 click, which was removed for the worse in the Halloween update of 2023. That's right, this thing was shadow nerfed because of a limited skin, just like the Magnum. If you want it to be good, like it used to be, get ready to gamble. The other A tier weapon is the wooden bat. I'll go more into detail into why it is good when I talk about its metal counterpart, but you should really think of this as more of a side grade than a worse version of the metal bat. You're trading out damage and bleed for a faster attack speed, making it quite easy to chain headshots. It only takes 1 normal attack and a 3rd swing to break a neck. It can block everything except the Rambo, sledgehammer, and unblockable melees. You really cannot go wrong with this weapon. Give it a try if you've been sleeping on it. Not to mention how much cheaper it is, by the way. So you can practice your metal bat skills for cheap. The S tier are the absolute best in the game. These can destroy on their own without a secondary, and can go toe-to-toe with gun users the easiest. First up is the sledgehammer. Many people think this weapon sucks, because they suck at the game. Not me, however. I see the true potential of this weapon. It completely destroys necks in 1 hit, including Tier 1 helmets. Its swing is also pretty easy to hit those important headshot with the body shot, dealing shovel levels of damage. This is probably the best melee weapon in the game for fighting armor. It ruins Fallens and Monster Mashers in 1 hit who can't block it, along with making Tier 2 and 3 users go to sleep as you hit them in the head a 2nd time to break their necks. Slayers can also be killed pretty easily by it if you can avoid their attacks. This is the best weapon in the game for blocking too. It blocks everything except unblockable weapons, and can only be blocked by metal bats and other sledgehammers. The metal bat is a more lightweight version of the sledgehammer. It can easily break necks in 2 chained headshots, and will break necks in 1/3 swing, though it struggles against armor that it cannot ragdoll. Personally, I think this is only better than the sledgehammer, because of it being easier to get hits with and easily beating a sledgehammer in a fight because of its speed. Pretty much everything else, like its blocking power, is tied with it. The best melee in Criminality is undoubtedly the fire axe. Like the shovel, it is a glass cannon that cannot block, though this is offset by it not being able to be blocked. It will destroy heads in 1 hit, and ragdolls both Tier 1 and Tier 2, decapitating those helmets in 2 hits. It also deals over 50% of your health, and only takes 2 hits to down. It will even cut off other limbs in 1 tap, making it harder for gun users to aim once you've elegantly requisitioned their arms from them. It is super easy to get hits with, slicing downwards on the screen and having no combo mechanics, making it super consistent. The lunge is quite long, and it is the cheapest weapon of the S tier. With Rage, this thing is a force to be reckoned with. Also for the fists, I think they're a step above all the melees in this game. You get a multi-tool, that is good for kicking doors, reviving, carrying, and fighting. They weigh 0, so they are truly the best. No matter what your kit is, you'll be using them very often.
Nigga, stop donating me crates, dude.